but you can just kind of tell he knows what to do. He's mentally mature. The Wood Memorial, if he goes there, which like you said, I think he will, that's a good spot. It's a little bit weaker of a prep race out of all the big ones, but it's not like a horrible race by any stretch, but it's a little bit weaker of a spot. So that tells me, A, they're not quite as high on Grande. However, that's a really good spot for kind of your quote-unquote B-string horse. So, yeah, both of them have really impressed me in different ways. I think that the ceiling is higher for Disruptor, but I do think Grande maybe mentally is a little bit more advanced at this stage in the game than Disruptor.
Yeah, Grande right now around 65-1 in future pools. Disruptor right around 70-1 in a lot of different places. So still time to get in on them. I agree with you. Grande probably more likely to make the gate in the Derby because of the weaker wood. But at the same time, I think Disruptor has more upside. Now, you like a Sheriff's horse. Tell us about him.
Yeah, I mean, look, this horse has a crazy improvement pattern. We're talking about Baeza, who's going to run in the Santa Anita Derby. John Sheriffs, if you don't know him, he trained the legendary mare Zenyatta, who was Horse of the Year and really captivated all of America when she won the Breeders' Cup Classic as a female, beating the boys in that race. It was incredible. So that's kind of how he got his name. He also won the Kentucky Derby with a horse named Jacobo with Mike Smith aboard, and that was a long shot in that race, kind of a popular horse. However, you fast forward now to Baeza. John Sheriffs brings his horses along in a turtle-like fashion, very, very slow. He's not aggressive with them at all. He is the epitome of I'll let the horse tell me what to do. So he doesn't press on him. But this Baeza horse didn't really look to be much until his last start, and you saw a crazy improvement from this horse. He absolutely dominated maiden special weight at Santa Anita, so much so that the conservative John Sheriffs is going to take this horse into the Santa Anita Derby and take a shot. Now, the bad news with Baeza is he's going to have to face journalism, who we love, Samich, obviously, and he's going to have to take on at least one, probably two Bob Baffert horses, who we kind of like most of his horses as well. So very tough competition. However, if he doesn't run well there, I would still maybe think Preakness, Belmont, this could be a horse to look at down the line. But he may accidentally get second in the Santa Anita Derby, and all of a sudden you might have a ticket on a horse that's a big price right now that's flying well under the radar that we've seen. He's got some talent. John Sheriffs is a good trainer, not an aggressive trainer, but he is a good trainer. So Baeza is just kind of worth keeping an eye out on right now.
Yeah, Baeza, a horse that is hard to find in future pools. So you'll have to hunt around there, but you can get upwards of 100-1 on Baeza in some places right now. A very interesting horse. You mentioned the big problem, though. Has to run first or second to get enough points in the Kentucky Derby and going to face journalism, most likely Citizen Bull, and maybe a horse like Barnes as well. So a tall task there for an unproven horse who did lose to Rodriguez a couple races back, but is taking some steps forward. Now, if you're looking to bet any of these races that we are talking about today, and we will talk about one more here before we go, why not head over to First Bet Racing? Firstbet.com, 1stbet.com. That's go over there, sign up using promo code VSIN200 to claim a 20% rebate for your first 60 days up to $200. This is the ADW I play on. Rebate's a big part of being a profitable horse player. And over there on First Bet, they will offer those to any of the bigger players. So make sure you go check it out. Sign up on an account. Use the promo code VSIN.com. Use the promo code VSIN200 at firstbet.com to sign up for an account today. Now, Aaron, before we head out here, I know you want to talk about the New Orleans Handicap a little bit. This is the undercard to that Louisiana Derby. And we've got 3-year-old champion Sierra Leone returning off that Breeders' Cup win. Spoiler alert, I don't like him in the race. I don't think he wins. I want to go against him. Who do you like in the New Orleans Handicap?
I think if you want to go against him, you have a very, very logical alternative, and it is the number 2 Hall of Fame. This horse has come back and won 3 races in a row off the layoff for Steve Asmussen. Steve Asmussen, the winningest trainer of all time in horse racing, and a guy that just dominates down at the fairground. So if you want to go against Sierra Leone, I think the number 2 Hall of Fame is the thing to do. I'm going to play an exact and play it a couple different ways. I am going to put Sierra Leone on top of Hall of Fame, and then I'm going to put Hall of Fame on top going this year.
Yeah, there are rumors abound in the Bayou that we're going to get a lot of scratches in this spot. Supposedly the 1 Kinetic is not going to run. The 10 horse here in Bishop's Bay is considered probable, may not run as well. Tarantino the 8 also out. The key to all of that is it takes speed out of the race. And Sierra Leone wants to come from off the pace. This is 1 1/8 miles, not 1 1/4 miles, which is Sierra Leone's best distance. Just bet Hall of Fame to win here. If you get 2-1, 5-2, I think that's a good price. I like Hall of Fame quite a bit. Now, next week, Aaron, we've got 2 big-time prep races coming up, the Florida Derby and the Arkansas Derby. Looking forward to talking about those next week. You'll be back on here with Patrick Maher for the second episode of VSiN at the Track. I'll return after that. Don't you worry. Which one are you more excited about here?
Well, I'm going to the Arkansas Derby, Samich, so I got to answer Arkansas Derby. It's where I cut my teeth in racing down at Oakland Park. So super excited for the Arkansas Derby. Can't wait.
Excellent. It's going to be a phenomenal week next week. Thank you very much for joining us here for the debut of VSiN at the Track. We will see you all next week, and good luck with all your bets.
Betting March Madness is hard, and losing sucks. Here's $50 to help you start winning more. Jeff over at Wonder Dog Sports Picks has been providing winning March Madness picks for more than 25 years and can help you win this year. His record's always 100% out in the open. Enjoy the thrill of winning with $50 of free premium March Madness picks for VSiN members. Visit PicksRadio.com today. You'll get one of his premium picks every day for free. And right now, you can get a $50 credit to use towards any package. PicksRadio.com.
With Fidelity Wealth Management, a dedicated advisor gets to know you and your goals to build a comprehensive plan to help grow and protect your wealth. Backed by a team of specialists, they'll analyze all your accounts.
People been saying to your friend, get a different face, and posting on their feed, they're super ugly. The things they say to them online are cruel and they're not true. So tell your friend, I'll stand up for you. Don't worry, I know what to do.
Know someone being bullied online? You can be a witness and make a difference by letting the world know it isn't cool and by letting your friend know you care. Learn more at eyewitnessbullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Keyboard Cat, Hamilton the Pug, and Toast Meets World. These are some of the internet's most beloved pets, and they all have one thing in common. Their stories started in a shelter. Start your story. Adopt a dog or cat today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Training that pet to play the keyboard, that's optional. Start a story. Adopt a shelter or rescue pet today. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
Allison is perfect. I mean, she'd never tell you that. She's humble and perfect. She likes everyone. She even likes her untidy roommate's weird guinea pig. Allison, wait, are you texting and driving? Allison, no. That's the exact opposite of what I was just saying about you. Why, Allison? Why? Texting and driving makes good people look bad. Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
We are live outside the home of Joe and Rosie Goddard, where a pretty big tickle fight broke out just minutes ago. Sources say their father instigated the laughter. Let's go inside for a comment. Apparently, they have no comment. Dads, let this be a reminder that it only takes a moment to make a moment. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Western Reserve Radio is the Valley's online source for sports talk and local live events. Tune in and be a part of their live weekly shows, as well as all of the hard-hitting action of Youngstown Phantoms hockey, high school football, and the GDFL. Find them at westernreserveradio.com. Tune in and the Live 365 app to be a part of the area's sports conversation. Be sure to visit them on Facebook at Western Reserve Radio and on Twitter at WR_radio.
The stations that always keep you in the zone.
I love it.
It's awesome.
Western Reserve Radio, Western Reserve Radio 2, and City View Sportscast, Youngstown, Ohio.
Nina's Pierogi House is your home for the area's best variety of pierogies. Daily specials include the Polish platter, the Hungarian platter, stuffed cabbage, and halushki. Having a last-minute get-together? Lena's has you covered with a wide variety of frozen take-home pierogies and dumplings. Go to Facebook at Lena's Pierogi House to see the weekly lineup of available flavors for dine-in or carry-out. Catch the best at Lena's Monday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. and Tuesday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. 20 North Main Street in Hubbard, or call 234-254-8532.
WWE superstar Alberto Del Rio, take one.
Behold the angry giant.
Try it again, Alberto.
Behold the angry giant.
Perfect. Good luck tonight.
Behold the angry giant.
Yay! Read me another one, Dad.
This is WWE superstar Alberto Del Rio. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
During the fall and winter, grilling season never ends, and Gessler Propane is your local supplier that makes sure you get your hard-earned money's worth. Why go to gas exchanges to pay higher prices for tanks not filled to capacity? Gessler Propane makes sure you're prepared for year-round grilling with 100% filled tanks at a reasonable cost. See Bob Monday through Friday, 10 to 4, and Saturday, 9 to 3 at Gessler Propane, 702 Youngstown Poland Road, Struthers, or call 330-755-9119. Gessler Propane. They got gas.
It's time to kick back and listen to the sports page with your host, Pat Lucia, right here on Western Reserve Radio. You can call the show at 330-707-4202 and tell everyone what's on your mind in the wonderful world of sports. Now, here's your host, Pat Lucia.
Saturday morning sports page. Pat Lucia, Dave Clark. 330-707-4202. Get in, talk sports. We do it every Saturday morning here. And here, Dave Clark, is Western Reserve Radio. A lot going on in the wonderful world of sports. Rodgers, NFL. We're still waiting on Aaron Rodgers. He took a trip over to the Steelers, but I guess he toured the building or whatever they do and left. And we'll get to that. I think, give you my input, what I think. Minnesota declined Rodgers for now.
Yeah.
But keep a door open just a little bit, just in case things don't kind of work out.
Or maybe to make sure that he's healthy, all the way healthy.
Right. McCarthy's not maybe 100% yet.
Yeah.
And maybe that knee's a little bit more tweaked. You know how that knees are funny. We all know.
Yep.
And just maybe that door's just open ajar. And Aaron Rodgers to the rescue. For the Minnesota Vikings, because obviously that's the place he wants to go.
Right.
He probably doesn't want to go to the Giants. If he was smart, he wouldn't go to the Giants. He'll just get rushed, sacked, beat up, spit out, injured reserve with the Giants. Giants will win 3 or 4 games. Fire Dable, fire Shane like they should have done, but they didn't. We'll have another year of misery for Giant fans, but I digress. But there's Rodgers. Sad news for those who did not know, George Foreman passed. He was 76 years old. Unbelievable heavyweight, great fighter. Still, they talk about the Michael Moore fight. He won the title back. He was just shy of 46 years old. He said he was 45 years and 299 days old. So give and take 60 days short of being 46. Knocked out Michael Moore. Fight Foreman was losing on all the cards, but Michael Moore got a little too close to George, and George hit him with a 2-punch combo. Down went Michael Moore, and George Foreman was a heavyweight champion. He wasn't like the oldest. Ever reclaimed a heavyweight
probably is. I mean, I remember guys fighting, like Archie Moore. People, if that was his real age.
Well,
he was 56.
True.
I think.
Yeah,
50,
Archie Moore.
They said he might have been 60 something. He was still had great skills.
Yes,
he was actually George Foreman's trainer at one time. Archie Moore. So I mean, he's a guy that. That nobody really knew what Archie Moore's real age, and they didn't really believe he was the age of 50-something. He was still fighting. So, but I can't remember if he reclaimed or got the title when he was that old. George might be the oldest heavyweight champion. That's a good trivia.
Yeah, that's something to look into. They have, at least when you look up Archie Moore, it said he was born in Benoit, Mississippi, December 13th, 1913. That's what they're saying. He was the light heavyweight champ from 52 to 62, Archie Moore.
He's 40. That means he's around 49 years old as a light heavyweight champion. And then moved to heavyweight.
39. He became, if he was born in 1913, and when he became the champion at the age of 39, and then he kept it for 10 years till he was 49. That's amazing. That's just utterly amazing, Archie.
Those guys were built from a different cloth back then.
Well,
but sure.
All of the fighters, when you look back.
Oh, yeah.
The Sugar Ray Robinson fought so many fights.
Oh, it was 100 and maybe 80 something. I don't know.
He and Jake LaMotta just literally killed. Like they would just go back. They just wanted to kill one another in the ring. They would fight and fight and fight. And they would I think they had 4 or 5 fights. But those guys fought every other, like a month.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
They fought. They didn't take
months.
They didn't take any time off. Joe Louis. I mean, go back to way back when you're talking almost talk about Joe Louis. You're talking about 70 years ago, 80 years ago. But those guys, all of those fighters like Louis, Robinson, even like Marciano. But you get back with those fighters, and they all fight. Especially those like Jake LaMotta. And Archie, Archie Moore too, but Sugar Ray Robinson and Jake LaMotta would fight fights, and they just, and those back then, man, they would just like hammer one another for. I mean, there's that movie, The Raging Bull, with Robert De Niro is classic.
Yep.
When he just that part where Sugar Ray is just pounding Jake LaMotta, but. Right at the end of the fight, it went 15, or they stopped it. But LaMotta goes up to Robinson and goes, Ray, no matter what, you never put me down. You didn't put me on the canvas, but you literally knocked the living daylight out of me, but you never put me down.
Right. Yeah. Those guys was built differently back then.
A little bit of a different perspective.
Yeah,
they are now.
Yep.
You never put me down. Yeah, but I literally knocked the living crap out of you for how many rounds? I love
looking at those records.
Oh, those are great.
Yep.
Oh my God, he was 49. Archie Moore, since you brought this up, at the time he fought Ali, they listed his age at 49.
Archie Moore.
Archie Moore, and I guess. The only question I really have, that would have been, sometimes though, to your point, Dave Clark, is, was he really born in 1913?
Right. That's the thing.
Well, he's born down in Benoit, Mississippi, back in 1913 or around that. So,
yeah. Things are so, it's hard to document a lot of things back then. So
it says here for the record, he always insisted he was born in 1916. in Collinsville, Illinois. His mother told the reporters he was born he was born in 1913 in Benoit, Mississippi. He was abandoned by his father as an infant. His mother, unable to provide for him and his older sister, his mother gave them the care of an aunt and an uncle. So his aunt and uncle had to raise him because his poor mother didn't have the means to. So he's raised by, this is Archie Moore, not George Foreman. But we do digress on this show. But anyway, getting back to obviously Foreman, known for the 1974 fight in Zaire, losing to Ali, big upset. Foreman went into that heavily favored.
Yeah.
And lost. And I remember that fight. I didn't get to see that fight. I was away at college at the time, but everybody was kind of like, the radio, and they were talking about, not going to believe it, but Muhammad Ali beat George Foreman. Everybody was shocked. Almost, I guess, when you get talking about upsets in boxing, you almost put that one in with the Buster Douglas and Tyson as biggest upsets.
Yeah.
As far as boxing goes, that's kind of, you start saying, hey, what are the biggest upsets in boxing? And I almost equate that fight, Foreman losing to Ali in 74, and then back when Tyson, that would have been 90. That's right.
Yep.
February 90, Tyson lost to Buster Douglas. And they weren't even going to remember they were holding back the title because there was that controversy with Buster Douglas, how he got knocked down, and he looked at the judge and they said, well, he should have been counted out because he actually had 2 more seconds. And they were like, well, no, he looked at the judge, and when the judge started it, then he waited until the judge got to whatever.
Yeah.
What was it? 8 count.
Then he got on up.
He got up. So he was just knocked down, but he wasn't like out.
No, he was cognizant of everything.
He was watching it, and when the referee got to like the 5, then he got up. The ref said, go at it. So, and then they finally gave Buster his belts and the titles.
Right.
And he went from there. But boxing back then was, to me, at its high, at the best, even with Tyson and Holyfield, it was still, and then after Tyson got out of it, it's just kind of.
Yeah. Well, the heavyweight
pay-per-view kind of ruined it. Pay-per-view kind of ruined boxing.
Yeah, I think really that's what did it, because as Holyfield kept that title, they still had great fights with the Riddick Bowls and all that.
Yeah.
So it was some great fights, but then the pay-per-view was one part of it, and then the politicking of the different organizations.
You had WBO, WBA.
And Bob Arum wasn't crazy about our guy, I'm trying to think of his name, the promoter. King. Don King. Don King.
No, that's
so
right.
Then he won't fight his fighter.
No,
and
right.
And then that's when the organization started, having all these different organizations, and then you had where certain fighters is not going to fight this one. So you didn't get what you got back in the day. You didn't have a Sugar Ray Leonard or a Thomas Hearns who would say, well, I'm not fighting that guy. They fight everybody. Yeah, they didn't care who it was. They were fighting everybody they put up. That's why you had such great fights back then, because the best would fight the best no matter what. And today you got a lot of politicking. They're trying to get it back to the way it should be, and it needs to get back to that. Put the best against the best. Let them go at that's how you're going to keep that sport at the top.
Well, now you have the cage fighting and all that. And
I watch some of it, but I can't get into it as the same as boxing because it just reminds me of a street fight. Well, all you just need is some pipes and a couple other things to swing around.
To me, but the cage fighting is maybe one step above cockfighting. You should say. It just reminds me of that.
I can't,
I can't, like I said, I can't get into the cage fighting at all. Boxing was good. But again, it's just, and just as if you look at Foreman did retire for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
After his 5th fight, he announced his retirement at the age of 28.
Right.
And then he came back 10 years later at the age of 38 in 1987. And then he some believe was maybe the most impressive comeback ever in sports, which
that long off, plus you're a heavyweight, and the time he was out, it was the times that he had got so heavy.
Yeah.
He's 300 pounds, and so to get himself back into some type of physical shape at that advanced age is something, to be able to get himself back to that. So, it was something.
One of the great heavyweights of all time in the discussion, no doubt. The fighter that he used to, the worst fight, or maybe I should call it the mismatch fight, he fought Joe Frazier, and I never saw a boxer hit another boxer and lift him off the ground like Foreman lifted Joe Frazier off the ground when he hit him.
Yeah.
That was a really bad matchup for Joe Frazier. It was just
too big, too strong.
Too big, too strong. And the way Joe Frazier would come in like that low, wanting to kind of brawl, and that worked with Ali, but not George Foreman.
No.
Because George Foreman hit him, and George Foreman beat him, upset him in 1973, took the title from him, and then they had another fight. I think it was either 75 or 76. And he just I remember watching him
He lit him up again.
Yeah, he did. He launched Frazier off the ground.
Yeah.
And I was just like going, I've never seen that happen.
Yeah.
And it was just, then he had that classic slugfest with Ron Lyle.
Oh my.
5 round of,
if anybody ever was seen, I still remember it. And you know what we talk about pay-per-view. That fight was on Wide World of Sports.
Yeah, it was
on a Saturday, 5:00. It was Ron Lyle. Howard Cosell was doing the fight. I've never seen such brutality
ever.
I mean, as soon as the bell rang, just start swinging. Swinging, and I'm talking about, I forgot how many knockdowns in that fight, but they both went down several times. Both.
Yeah, they did. We could look up the fight. Yeah.
That's not a big name to people that, the average person about boxing. If you said Ron Lyle, they said who?
No, they wouldn't know.
But if you're actually a person that was into boxing, you would know who Ron Lyle is, because Ron Lyle would hurt you and hurt you bad. And he was a guy that came out of prison from Denver, Colorado, changed his life around, came out and became just a guy that would destroy people in the ring. And him and Foreman, that fight, I still remember that. I remember that. I couldn't believe it. I said, they're going to have to stop this thing. Somebody going to get killed.
It said here, at the age of 19, Ron Lyle was involved in the shooting death of a 21-year-old gang rival. Lyle argued he was being attacked with a lead pipe. It was not the one who pulled the trigger, but he was convicted anyway of second-degree murder. The sentence was 15 to 25 years in Colorado State Prison. It said he nearly died on the operating table there after being stabbed by another inmate. He survived after 36 blood transfusions.
Wow.
Ron Lyle, he was in solitary confinement for 90 days. This is when he started to do push-ups, sit-ups, squats, and other exercises, and then he started training. And then it said that while in prison, he was known as Ronnie. He enlisted in a self-help group, Black Cultural Development Society, and coached the prison's football team. That's impressive. I mean, what Lyle did while he was there. He also played baseball, basketball. Let's see, I'm just trying to think, when did he get out of prison? But anyway, he got interested, obviously, in boxing. He attended the first prison boxing in 1962 as a spectator. And then he would have only been 21 years old. Because he was born in 1941. So then he had an amateur career. Oh, he was eligible for parole in 1969. So he was like 28 years old, but he was turned down. Man, what I'm almost now
30s now. I guess.
Yeah. He had his last amateur fight in 1971, Ron Lyle. And then that's when he went into
as a pro.
But he would have been 30. I got to get a book about him. I got to read. This is the kind of story I would love to read this book about him.
Yeah.
I'm reading a great book about the Oakland A's. And boy, Charlie Finley.
Yeah.
And those players didn't like one another. They fought with one another, the A players.
Yeah.
They had it's just unbelievable. The players didn't really get along, and they used to fight with one another, and then they would go out and play. They won 3 titles in a row.
I know. Is that something?
And unbelievable. And it's just the Oakland A's are just it was a different time.
Yeah.
They won 72. They beat the Reds 73. They beat the Mets both 7 games, and they beat the Dodgers in 74 in 5 games.
Probably one of the best, would you say, classical uniforms once.
Yeah.
When you wanted to get a little spiffy, as they say back then.
Right.
They came out with those uniforms in the green and yellow, and this was always different type of things there. So they had some great players on their team.
Oh, they had.
Great players.
Reggie.
Yep.
Joe Rudy, Sal Bando, Gene Tennis. They had Blue Moon Odom.
Yeah.
Billy
Vida Blue.
Vida Blue.
Yeah.
Billy North was on that team. He was, I believe, the center fielder. And then the owner was just, the players did not like him. And it was just it's just unbelievable.
Did
Billy North.
Campaneris play for them?
Campaneris was on the team. And he was the one in 1972 during the playoffs. He threw the bat at the pitcher who was throwing at him.
Oh, yeah.
Campy threw the bat at him and was suspended for a game. Bill North was the center fielder on that team.
Yeah, they had some great teams.
A great team. Raleigh Fingers, Joe Rudy, Claudell Washington, Dick Green. I mean, you go on and on. Ray Fosse actually was the catcher.
Yeah.
And he played really good. And it was a crazy team.
Yep.
It was a real crazy group of players. And again, bottom line is getting Ron Lyle to me. Yeah, there's got to be someone who wrote a book about him, because it's just his life. Because you read his stories, someone had to sit down and want to write a book about this guy.
Yeah.
Because of where he was, where he,
ended up at.
Yeah. And he was just an and to come out of prison and, grow up and go through what he went through. And then he was he wasn't a great heavyweight, but he was good heavyweight.
Oh yeah. He was a good heavyweight. It was one that you didn't want to get in have to get in one with. So it's just funny that, and then he just came right up through the ranks. He wasn't like this celebrated guy from a great amateur, just straight through the ranks, beat everybody up. People feared Ronnie Lyle. They didn't want any parts of him. And he just destroyed people and just came right on up through the ranks. And he's tough. And then he fought the tough guys. He wouldn't fight Ali. He wouldn't fight all these guys. And to come through that is just something.
Yeah. He was just an unbelievable. He passed 2011 at the age of 70 from they said a sudden stomach ailment. I didn't know this, but he was charged with a first-degree homicide at the age of 36 after he shot and killed a man on New Year's Eve in his home in Lakewood, Colorado, near Denver. He did spend time in the Colorado State Penitentiary, but he was acquitted a year later. Almost a year later, was acquitted in 1978, December 16th.
Wow.
So, yeah, Ron Lyle's overall record was 43-7-1.
Yeah.
Getting back to the door that opened, talking about George Foreman. But the Ron Lyle fight and the George Foreman fight are the ones that jump out at me.
I can remember.
That might have been just the classic, all right, not a lot of boxing, just a lot of like punching. Yeah. I'm going to hit you, you're going to hit me. We're just going to accept blow, bam, bam. I'm going to hit you, you hit me. Okay, who's going to fall down first?
Yeah.
And those two guys could punch.
Right.
Ron Lyle and George Foreman were really heavy punchers. Like they could just literally, as Foreman won the title back for Michael Moore, a two-punch combination floored Michael Moore. George Foreman wins the title at, just shy of 46 years old.
Yep. And I a lot of people, we know how a big puncher Mike Tyson was. He had great speed with his punching power. So that's, speed does equal power anyway. So it was that. But when I look at overall strength and power punching, I'm going to tell you, to me, in the heavyweight division, it is a Ron Lyle, George Foreman, and Ernie Shavers.
Yeah, Shavers.
Because Shavers, man, I've seen many of his fights in person, and to see when he hits you, the thud of the sounding of it sound like he broke different body parts on guys. I mean, and then what did Ali say? he made a joke of everything.
No, he did.
He said he got hit him, and it hurt his kinfolk back.
Oh yeah,
in Africa. That's what he said. He hit so hard. He said hard. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, he said that one fight he had with Ernie Shavers. Shavers caught him.
Yeah, he said, but he said he didn't know.
He did. Yep.
He didn't even know he hurt me.
Right.
He said I was out of it.
Yep. He was out.
He was out. He said,
he was out on his feet.
He didn't realize it. He didn't realize, and he couldn't capitalize.
No.
And that's one thing with Ali. Great recuperative power.
Always.
And he'll come back, and then you're done then.
Right.
Because he'll take care of you then.
Right. Then he snapped back. But Shavers knew he had Ali. He probably would have won that fight because he would have gone in for the kill. Because Ali does say, I was out of it.
Yeah. And I mean, the punch that he hit Larry Holmes with, actually Larry Holmes said when he hit him, he said, when you talk about an off switch being turned on, he said he was out. He said, but he hit the canvas so hard that woke him back up, and people would remember that fight. Holmes came back to knock Shavers out. And that was an unbelievable fight. And we talk about all these great fights, and all of them was on Wild World Sports.
Yeah, the Wild World.
Watching it on a Saturday afternoon, a Wild World of Sports. We could see all that, these great fights. And now today, they want you to pay $80 and $90 for pay-per-view. Thank goodness for streaming and whatever you need to do to get them, because I'm not paying that for these fights today.
Oh, no.
Whether they're great fights or not, I'm not paying that type of money. That's just unbelievable.
No. Ernie Shavers was...
he's brutal.
He might have been, and I think Ali said that he had the hardest punch. Shavers did.
Yeah.
That he ever fought. I mean, Foreman was, but he said that Shavers was the one.
Yeah.
And he was he lived in this area. He lived in Warren, Newton Falls, actually.
Right. That's where he originally from.
Yeah.
That's so.
Yeah. He moved. He's actually born in Garland, Alabama, but one of 9 children, and worked on a cotton farm with his family. Mm-hmm. He said that strenuous labor on the farm helped him build his muscular physique and strength. And then they were forced to flee their home after his father was threatened by the Ku Klux Klan over money owned for a mule. So they got it. The father, poor father, got into a dispute with the KKK over the money he owed over a mule.
Oh my God!
Oh my gosh! So they fled to Youngstown, Ohio, and he went to Newton Falls High School, where he excelled in track and football, and then he worked at General Motors in Lordstown, Ernie Shavers.
Yes, he did.
That's another story. All these guys have very unique stories, like interesting, past growing up. Saturday morning sports page, first half hour of the book, back after a timeout.
Welcome to Calvin's Barbershop.
You all got to see this.
I don't even want to know what you're looking at on that phone.
Well, you should. I was learning about the dangers of high blood pressure and that we need to get ours checked regularly. High blood pressure can increase the risk of heart attack or stroke, but this text program can help keep it at a healthy range. Just text Barbershop to 97779 to sign up.
I'll get right on it as soon as I'm done with this baby panda video.
Text Barbershop to 97779. A message from the American Heart Association and the Ad Council.
Hey, let me ask you something. Would you seat your 3-year-old child on a windowsill? Would you seat them beside a lit fireplace or by the deep end of a pool? One last question. Would you seat your child in a car seat that's not correct for them? Car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. Secure their future. Seat them in the correct car seat. For more information, visit safercar.gov/the right seat. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Catch all of the spring and summer action of Cleveland Cobras minor league football on Western Reserve Radio. Follow the Cobras as they compete against teams from around the region in pursuit of a Tri-Point Football League championship. And if you're looking to continue your football career after high school, college, or even the pros, or to be part of the Cobras staff, go to Facebook at Cleveland Cobras Football. Or contact owner Jesse Caldwell at 330-416-3442. Be a part of the excitement of Cleveland Cobras football.
Question. When you walk into the boardrooms of the most successful companies here in Ohio, who do you meet? Answer. Men and women who played high school sports. Education-based high school sports give us more than athletes we can root for. They give us leaders we can depend on. Question. So where will we find tomorrow's leaders? Answer. High school sports.
This message presented by the Ohio High School Athletic Association and the Ohio Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Saturday morning sports page, Pat Lucia, Dave Clark coming back at you. Just a little going back in time, talking obviously about the passing of George Foreman, great heavyweight, but some of the great fighters that he fought, Ernie Shavers, we talked about, was from here.
Right.
Kind of raised in Alabama. They fled Alabama, came to Youngstown. And Ernie Shavers kind of grew up here. But that's where he started his boxing career here. He had some unbelievable fights. Talking about the one fight he had way back in 1972 with Ted Gullick. Dave Clark brought this up. Mm-hmm. February 1st of 1972 at Packard Music Hall in Warren, Ernie Shavers went to Newton Falls and was made a home here with his family. And his boxing career, worked for GM at Lordstown.
Right.
And then when he wasn't, it's the other thing that always amazes me. And, he didn't get a lot of money for these fights, Yeah. He had to work. This is the part that we get back into this whole history when you start looking at these athletes, whether it was baseball, football, basketball, whatever, boxing. Back in, this is 72, 71, they weren't making a lot of money. Like, I don't think Ernie Shavers made a lot of money back in 1972 when they were fighting. Here's one, 1970. And this is the thing, and then we'll get into basketball, but here's just a snapshot of our Ernie Shavers. Mm-hmm. In 1972, okay, Ernie Shavers in 1972 had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9. 9 fights in 1972.
Right.
He fought, to give you an idea, Ernie Shavers fought Ted Gullick in Warren February 1st, 1972, won in a 6th round. 14 days later, February 15th of 1972, he fought L.G. Walters in Beaumont, Texas, won in a 2nd round knockout. Then in April of 72, April 6th, which was not even 2 months later, he beat Charlie Polite in Warren, Ohio, Packard Music Hall, April 6th, 3-round knockout. Then later in April, he beat Bob Feldstein, 5-round knockout, Fieldhouse in Struthers, Ohio. So he had, in basically 2 months, not even two, say 2.5, he had 4 fights in 2.5 months.
Right. And a lot of people say, well, he got the knockout.
No, but
that stuff, but they don't do that usually. Now they don't. They still have. They can have a 1-round knockout and they won't fight again for 6 months and sometime a year. Sometimes.
I'm just looking at how many times that Ernie Shavers fought in 1972, and then in 1973. Okay, it wasn't. He had 4 fights in 73, 3 fights in 74, but he started to move up.
Right.
He still had 4 fights in 75.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys were.
They fight this all the time, and I understand that they want the now with so much safety and
I get
things,
it. Yeah.
They want to do that, but I think when you see guys out for a year and a half, 2 years before they fight again, I feel bad for them because some of these guys are great. I mean, great talents. But they lose some of their best years by just sitting out because of the politics of boxing.
Yeah.
Believe me, a boxer does not want to sit, like have a fight and then lay around for so long and then fight again. Yeah, they want to because they want to keep on top of their skill. You can train all you want. You can have all the sparring you want. There's nothing like this. Is a different thing when you get in the ring for real. I'm telling you because it's just a different thing.
The other fight, and I remember this fight. You're thinking of since we've gone down. Ron Lyle beat Ernie Shavers. I remember this fight. This is back in 1975. They fought
I forgot about these. Yeah,
the Coliseum, Denver, Colorado. 6th round at TKO. It went 6 rounds. Lyle beat him. I remember that fight because all those guys, all they did is those were 2 punchers.
Yep.
And they just entered the ring and just inflicted pain.
Just like the Foreman. It was just like Foreman. It was just like that fight.
Same fight.
It was. Yep.
Just Ron Lyle and Ernie Shavers went into the round and said, "Okay, this is it."
Yep.
Punch, like, let's just mano a mano, man. We're going. We're going at it.
Oh yeah.
No holds bar. You knock me out or I'll knock you out. We're not doing a lot of boxing.
Mm-hmm.
We're just going to punch one another.
Yeah, that's what they did.
I'm going to punch out your brains. No, you're going to try to punch my brains out.
That's what they did.
And that's what these guys did.
Yep.
And they were 2 powerful boxers. And the other boxer we brought up, and the one that I always was very impressed with is Evander Holyfield.
Oh yeah, well
and Holyfield,
the mentality of Holyfield is just
was scary. But that's the one boxer that Mike Tyson could not intimidate at all.
No, it could no.
Not at all.
Not even shaking it, no shaking on the leaf, nothing.
Nothing, man.
That's what did it.
Yep.
I mean, he could not intimidate him. But see, this is a lot of people don't know. If you remember the year that Holyfield, he didn't win the thing because he got disqualified for the Olympics.
Yeah.
But that great team of Sweet Pete, Whitaker, and all those guys, they were all on the same team.
Right.
In training, that's who he sparred against was Mike Tyson's during the Olympic trials. And they used to try to stop that from going because he used to get the best of Tyson all the time. So he had the ultimate confidence that he's not worried about this guy. This guy doesn't intimidate me.
He knew Evander Holyfield, I remember that fight. The first fight he beat Tyson. That was before Tyson. That wasn't the fight that Tyson bit his ear. That was later.
Right.
But I remember reading that fight, and Tyson came across the ring and hit Holyfield a couple shots like he did. Like Frank Bruno was absolutely petrified of Mike Tyson. I remember watching that fight. He was afraid.
Yeah.
I mean, it was scary how afraid he was. But I'll never forget he hit Mike Tyson. And Tyson looked at him and basically said, like, that's it? That's what you have?
Mm-hmm.
And you knew right then and there that fight was pretty much over because then Holyfield could outbox Tyson and moved around and hit him. And he just drove Tyson crazy because Holyfield was a very good, skilled boxer as far as a puncher.
Yeah.
And it was over. But it goes to show you that you could not, I don't think there was any fighter ever that could even remotely intimidate Evander Holyfield.
No, I know. And I'm going to tell you a guy that I always said this. Now, I'm going to always respect Tyson, but this is one guy I think he stayed away from. And people were, what are you talking about? Riddick Bowe.
Yeah.
He stayed away from that guy because something wasn't right in Riddick Bowe's mind.
Yeah, no.
That guy, him and Holyfield had some of the best battles I ever seen when they fought. I think they fought like 3 times. And I mean, those things were brutal. And Riddick Bowe would hurt you. And he knew he couldn't intimidate Bowe. You couldn't come in and talk trash to Bowe. I remember, if you remember this, a guy named Larry Donald came in and tried to talk trash to Bowe. And they were in a press conference. And do you remember Riddick Bowe hitting him with a combination? Do you remember that? He kept talking trash, and you talking now? The fight's on right now. He hit him so hard. It wasn't like these fake little fights. No. This was real. I mean, you heard it. It was so hard when he hit him. I said, he's going to hurt this guy. And basically, that's what he did do. He did what he fought him. That was a guy that you just wanted to stay away from. And Riddick Bowe was something special. But it's sad, the things that went on with him too.
Yeah,
but he was a great champ. He
beat Holyfield. Yeah. Riddick Bowe was 43-1.
Yeah,
his only fight he lost to
Evander, right?
He lost to Evander Holyfield, 1993. 12 round and majority decision.
Mm-hmm.
And then he turned around and he beat Holyfield in 95, November 4th of 95, on a TKO in the 8th round.
Mm-hmm.
But his only loss in his career was Evander Holyfield. He beat everybody. Michael Dokes. He actually beat Holyfield twice.
Yes, they fought 3 times.
He beat him in 92, lost to him in 93, and then beat him again.
Yep.
In 95.
Yeah, and
that was right before Holyfield. Was that that was before? That was right after. Did Tyson beat Holyfield? I mean, Holyfield beat Tyson, I believe.
Yeah, somewhere in there.
96.
Yeah, because Tyson was probably in jail then.
Yeah, he was. Tyson was in jail. That's it. He was in jail on that rape charge. And then he was out.
Mm-hmm.
And then Holyfield, he beat Tyson. This is the one he beat him in November 9th of 1996.
Mm-hmm.
Another a good fighter was Ray Mercer. I remember him too. He was another just
merciless.
Yeah,
Ray.
he was a hard puncher
and could take. Oh my goodness, could he take?
Yeah, he could take a lot of. He just these guys.
You see, I like you bringing up guys like that because those are guys that don't even be recognized. They like Ray Mercer. Yeah, he wasn't. Yeah. Ray Mercer was a problem.
Yeah,
and he would hurt guys and get hit, same facial expression, nothing changed. This guy, he was a tough guy. Ray Mercer was tough.
He had 36 wins, 7 losses.
Yeah, and I thought he almost
And a
killed
draw.
Tommy Morrison.
Yeah.
When they
Yeah,
fought.
he
I said,
almost-
what was that ref thinking?
Yeah.
Let Morrison be sitting on the ropes and taking those kind of shots.
Yeah, that was bad.
Yeah,
I
that was
remember
bad.
that fight.
Very bad.
Tommy Morrison, you're right.
I thought he would kill him.
Yeah.
And I really did.
And I think people were saying, well, why isn't this ref stopping?
Yeah, I mean, you see he was out and he just let him keep taking these heavy shots.
And Ray Mercer's hard at puncher.
Right.
Yeah, great, unbelievable. And then obviously Lennox Lewis.
Yep.
Another great fighter. I mean, you could go on. That's one thing when you start talking about, we started with George Foreman, and then as you're kind of going down
That's just the heavyweight ranks.
You start throwing these heavyweights, and then you start opening up, Ali, obviously the greatest ever, but then you talk about, Joe Frazier, but then you talk about these other guys that came after Frazier and Ali.
Mm-hmm.
Then you start opening up like, okay, there was, Holyfield, there was Tyson, but then there was Ray Mercer, these guys that, granted, Mercer wasn't a great heavyweight, but he's good and deceiving.
Yeah.
But and then Ernie Shavers was with the Ali, time.
Right.
And he was just from here, from Warren, Ohio, from Newton Falls, where he went to school, but an unbelievable boxer and puncher.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, like you said, Ali said that of all the guys he fought, Shavers was the hardest puncher that he ever ran into.
Yep.
Just because, and you look at Ernie Shavers, he knocked everybody out, or he was knocked out.
Yeah. Yeah. That's basically what it was.
A lot of draws, or fights didn't go 12 or 15 rounds with Ernie Shavers.
No.
You weren't lasting in a ring with Ernie Shavers for 15 rounds.
Right. You either going or he's going.
Because he's coming after you.
Right.
And you might get him, but he's going to, and then with his punching, he didn't need a lot of punches to knock out these boxers, man. He hit men, and they hit him hard, and they went down. And that's it. I mean, Tyson was always known for that, and Tyson came in the 80s, but before Tyson, there was Ernie Shavers.
Oh, yeah.
And Ron Lyle.
Yeah, all those
And Ron Lyle is just...
Yeah, those guys are just born to hurt you bad.
They were. They did not take prisoners, man.
Oh.
When they got in the boxing round, get the popcorn out, but you better get there real easy, because there's a chance those boxing matches didn't go more than 3 or 4 rounds.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Because that was it. And then I think the best one of my favorite fight of all time.
I know what it is.
You know it. It was Hearns and Hagler.
Yeah.
Hagler was my favorite. I would say Marvin Hagler was my favorite boxer of all time. I loved Marvin Hagler. And that fight with Hearns was still the best overall fight of all time.
And Hearns was one of my favorites. And the reason for it, not just because he knocked people out, he was a guy that he could get knocked out. But he's not one of those guys that say, well, I got to run and try to hide from not getting hit. He wasn't worried about that. If you're going to knock me out, you're just going to knock me out. But we're going to get in here and we're going at it. Somebody's going out. And that's just how he fought. And that guy, for a thin, wiry guy, that guy
powerful.
Can punch. Oh my goodness. I mean, when I seen him hit 2 punches fights I've seen that he hit. Pepino Cuevas.
Oh, yeah.
And Roberto Duran. And Duran was known to take a punch. He hit 1 shot and he was out cold. He felt like a tree being cut down.
See, I always equated that type of match to Frazier and Foreman.
When him and Hearns and Duran?
Hearns and Duran. And why I say is because of the fighters. Like, Foreman was very big. Hearns was tall, lanky, but tall and powerful. But those other guys were short, stocky, coming at you. Not a good blend. They're not going to succeed because the guys they're fighting have a reach and power. And the way the punches hit those boxers, it was called knockout. It had Knockout City written all over it, just because Hearns had that reach and he could just sit there and hit from a distance, and Duran would come in at him, and then he just picked the spot.
Yeah, it
was
a perfect punch right on the chin I mean, you don't see that much, but that guy fell like a tree being cut.
Yeah, like down.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's when the boxers fall that way.
Yeah.
They're out on their feet.
Yeah,
they're like, they're not dazed. They're out. They're out cold.
He didn't put his arms out to break his fall.
That's the thing. They usually, even if they're knocked out, I think more of a normal response is to break their fall. That was so bad that he didn't even break his fall.
No, fell straight on his face. Bam. I mean, that was a brutal punch.
And the other fights, I'm looking at the top fights of like all time. I just pull this stuff up as we're talking.
Yep.
But the one they rate number one is Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier, the first one, 1971. I remember that. I didn't see it, but I remember that.
Yeah. Yeah, then, I listened to that on the radio as my dad, my brothers went to pay-per-view.
They went
what was it called? Closed circuit back
Closed
then.
circuit.
Yeah, it was called Closed Circuit TV. They went to Packard Music Hall to see that on closed circuit. And I just listened to it on the radio. And that, I mean, you could see this from the announcement on the radio. You could say, oh man, what a fight. You had to wait maybe a month or two. Then it came on Wild World Sports.
Yeah, had to wait.
Yep.
Yeah, they have that number one. Marvin Hagler, Thomas Hearns, number two.
It's only 3 rounds of boxing.
Yeah.
But
the best 3 rounds. It might have been the best 3 rounds in history.
That was insane. You knew at the pace they were going, at the ferocity of the punching, there was no way this was going 12 rounds. No. So they even if they didn't get hit, somebody was just going to pass out.
They're going to pass out.
Because, I mean, every punch had bad intentions. There was no, like, let me feel you out.
No.
I'm going to jab and try to set you. There wasn't no setup. I'm punching as hard as I can on every punch. And it was funny, too, because Hearns was from the outside throwing them hard jabs with right hands, and Hagler just kept coming in close, and then he started hooking to the body and to the head, and them things had bad intentions.
Oh, man.
Woo! Had bad intentions.
They did. Those guys just know.
That doesn't make any sense to me. Like that.
It's the old, you know what you're getting. No, I'm going to feel you out. No. Well, you take a round or two to figure what the guy out. No. They went right to, okay.
Yeah.
We're here.
It's too hard of punchers. I mean,
those get teeing off on one another.
And that's why I respect Sugar Ray Leonard, because he fought both of them.
Yeah.
And went through it with both of them.
Did. Hagler still says he won the fight.
The first one?
Yeah. Hagler says he won the fight against Sugar Ray Leonard.
Well, Sugar Ray outsmarted him.
He did.
Very great strategy.
Yeah, very smart. Sugar Ray was very smart.
Very smart.
And he maneuvered it, and the judges. But I remember watching that fight. I could tell you where I was, what we were doing. And I remember watching that fight, and I was really rooting for Hagler because I loved Marvin Hagler. And I thought Hagler would win it. He was a champion, but he lost it on points.
And it was smart because you know what he would do?
Sugar Ray
would fight a little.
Yeah, but the first 6 or 7 rounds, he really stayed away. Hagler couldn't get
into
him because Sugar Ray was so smart and staying away and kind of like hit, move.
Yep.
And it just frustrated Hagler. Then Hagler figured it out kind of. And then I thought Hagler took over the fight, but then at the end, he was just probably too far. And then that's where all the controversy with fighting is the scorecards.
Yeah. Oh, I knew it was going to be close, but the thing I noticed that Sugar Ray kept doing towards the end of the fight, the last 45 seconds to a minute, he would make sure he get to his corner area and just rain combinations on Hagler. Move, hold him, pull him inside,
pull him out,
move again, bang, bang, bang.
And
he would win the end of the round. So what is the best memory of anything?
Is the end of the round.
And that's what they seen, and that's what pulled it out. It was smart strategy by Sugar Ray of doing that. And that battle was something, and then Hagler actually played into what he wanted him to. He wanted him to do that, and that's exactly what he did.
And Hagler, when it fell.
Yeah, he fell for it.
Yeah, the fourth fight they have on here was Muhammad Ali versus Foreman. And that was the Zaire fight.
Yep.
And then the 5th fight they have, and I remember this one.
In Manila?
No. That was great. But this one, I remember it. It was November 12th, 1982. Aaron Pryor and Alexis Aguayo was one of the greatest fights. And I was rooting for Alexis Aguayo, and that fight was still
that guy.
Oh my gosh.
That's the guy that's the part.
That was a 15-round, as they said. Yes, a 15-round slugfest, and they did. These two guys literally knocked one another out, not out, but they knocked one another silly for 15 rounds. These guys teed off on one another for 15 rounds. Pryor and Alexis Aguayo would just. Then there was that talk about Pryor had the green stuff in the bottle, and they were like, "Oh,
Panama Lewis put something in
Panama, somebody put right."
So then I said, "Okay, they get the rematch. The same thing happens."
Yeah,
he does the same exact thing.
Yeah,
they said, "Where's the bottle?" I'm trying to tell people that guy was.
Yeah, Aaron
from a
Pryor
different type of cloth. That guy was. I seen him fighting a guy named Dwayne Johnson. I'll never forget it. He got hit so hard. I mean, the punch was perfect by Dwayne Johnson, and when he hit him, he went down backwards, and then flipped back on his feet and got back up before the referee even started counting and started punching. They had to make him go to a corner, and when I seen that, I said, "This guy is something different," and he was. Aaron Pryor, that's why he was always upset at Boom Boom Mancini, because they called Boom Boom Mancini the champion of Ohio.
Yeah.
They both was from Ohio.
They never fought.
No. And he wanted to fight him.
Right.
But they kept staying away from him.
Right. They wouldn't fight and I always said that. I remember that. I always said, well, what I always thought they should have done with that is they should have had that fight in Ohio Stadium, in Columbus, Ohio.
Something that Aaron Pryor said he wanted
Aaron
right
Pryor
there. He said he
from
wanted
Cincinnati, Mancini from Youngstown. Two ends of Ohio meet in the middle. Like, I always thought a promoter could really build that fight up, and you could have had a boatload of people fill in Ohio Stadium, have it in the summer, put it, in Ohio Stadium with the ring, and sell all the seats, and I would guarantee you there would be people filling that place up to watch those two guys, and you could call it literally, the fight in Ohio, the battle for Ohio or something like that, and build that thing. Boom Boom Mancini and Aaron Pryor going at it at Ohio Stadium in the summer.
Right.
And I just thought, man, you could really do something with that if you were a promoter.
Yeah.
And how many people would show up and want to see those two guys go at it.
Yep. And I remember watching Aaron Pryor as an amateur. I remember his fight against Tommy Hearns in the amateur. He dominated Tommy Hearns.
Oh, yeah.
In the amateurs. And it was just like, it was a guy that people wanted to stay away from. And he said, I remember when he's fighting, he said, I will move up, but these guys don't want to fight me. He's talking about Hearns. He's talking about Leonard.
See, I was
trying to stay away from him.
That's the guy that you always wonder, like, an Aaron Pryor, how nobody really wanted to fight him.
Yeah.
Because he was mean, he was tough, and he could punch, and he could box.
It's so awkward.
Yeah, he came at you at a real weird angle.
Yeah.
Oh, I just wanted to share this with you. You brought brought this fight up. It's rated 8th, the George Foreman, Ron Lyle.
Mm-hmm.
That happened January 24th of 1976. And it was it says the kind of punching slugfest that defined heavyweight boxing in its heyday. The 76 brawl between Foreman and Lyle was a fight with two boxers who wanted to prove something. Foreman coming off his loss to Muhammad Ali in the Rumble in the Jungle. Foreman needed to fight his way back into the picture. Lyle, on the other hand, was desperate to assert himself as a top fighter. So the two big men traded shots, 5 straight rounds going down twice during the fight. In the end, Foreman knocked Lyle out for a third and final time, putting the exclamation point on one of the greatest boxing matches of all time. Unbelievable.
I mean, that punching was...
Oh, and I remember that. You can actually watch it on YouTube.
Oh, you can't get... Okay.
Oh, yeah. You can pull it right up.
Yes,
and
man.
you could get that, and you could, if you want to go back in time and see two guys just literally tee off on one another, no regard for anything. I'm going to bam. Saturday morning sports page, second half coming out.
Youngstown, Warren, and Salem Sports Talk is on the iMedia One Network, Western Reserve Radio, Western Reserve Radio 2, and City View Sportscast.
In the small town of Elmira, New York, a boy was born into an all-American family. The odds of him achieving his dream in the fashion industry? 1 in 23 million. The odds of having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 68. I am Tommy Hilfiger, and my family is affected by autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Western Reserve Radio is the Valley's online source for sports talk and local live events. Tune in and be a part of their live weekly shows, as well as all of the hard-hitting action of Youngstown Phantoms hockey, high school football, and the GDFL. Find them at westernreserveradio.com. Tune in and the Live 365 app to be a part of the area's sports conversation. Be sure to visit them on Facebook at Western Reserve Radio and on Twitter at WR_radio.
Nina's Pierogi House is your home for the area's best variety of pierogies. Daily specials include the Polish platter, the Hungarian platter, stuffed cabbage, and halushki. Having a last-minute get-together? Lena's has you covered with a wide variety of frozen take-home pierogies and dumplings. Go to Facebook at Lena's Pierogi House to see the weekly lineup of available flavors for dine-in or carry-out. Catch the best at Lena's Monday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. and Tuesday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. 20 North Main Street in Hubbard, or call 234-254-8532.
WWE superstar Alberto Del Rio. Take 1.
Behold the angry giant.
Try it again, Alberto.
Behold the angry giant.
Perfect. Good luck tonight.
Behold the angry giant.
Yay! Read me another one, Dad.
This is WWE superstar Alberto Del Rio. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Saturday morning sports page, Pal Lucia, Dave Clark. Yeah, going back in time with boxing. George Foreman passed, age of 76. Great heavyweight.
That's the most boxing we ever did in this.
Yeah,
show.
On our show.
That's why I said on the break. I said we'll give that out to Mike Cifaldi.
Yeah, rest in peace, Mike Cifaldi.
Yeah,
great guy. Did boxing all those years.
All those years of the boxing. I used to love it
on radio.
Yep.
He knew he had the great guy, Mike, and he was just. And they have that boxing show on radio back then. It was a few years now, but good guy. Had the few of the fighters in. I'm sure he knew Shavers. He knew all these guys.
Yeah.
And like I said, Ernie Shavers to me is the one. Like when I was thinking like Ron Lyle, Ernie Shavers were just guys, just like. It was like Mariano Rivera coming. You knew what Rivera was throwing at you. Like it wasn't like he didn't trick you.
Right.
You knew what he was throwing. He threw that cutter you couldn't hit.
Yeah.
Goose Gossage would rear back and throw the ball 100 miles an hour here, hit it. He didn't trick you.
Right.
And I always like those guys like Ernie Shavers, Lyle, and even Foreman to some extent. You knew what you were getting. Like those guys were coming at you. Yeah. They're not doing a lot of boxing. Boxing, not so much. I'm just gonna throw punches at you guys.
Yeah.
And like I said, Lyle and Shavers fighting one another. Even Foreman fighting Lyle. It was just guys in a slugfest.
Yeah, that's all it was.
Right.
Yeah. That's all it was about.
That's what I always like. A Ron Lyle type of guy was a character too.
Yeah.
They'd interview him. He'd say some off the wall stuff. But he was a great boxer. But he was a fighter. He was like really not a boxer. He just was like, when you read how he like went through.
Yeah.
At a young age, the gang killing the guy.
He's a survival.
He was a survivor.
Yeah, that's what he was. He go out there.
He was just a survivor. And that's what it was. And he got in a boxing ring. And to some large extent, when you start breaking down, like when you think like Jake LaMotta was the same kind of guy.
Yeah.
He was just a fighter.
The guys were just like that. I mean,
they were just, Sugar Ray Robinson. I mean, he was a great boxer and a great fighter.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he fought so many fights. That's the thing. It's like what blows me away is how many fights these guys would fight months, like within a month, 4, 5, 6 fights in a month.
Yeah. And I always say it. Anybody ever asked me, that was my number one sport. I mean, I grew up in a household with a professional fighter, my dad.
Your dad?
And my dad fought out of Stillman Gym in Brooklyn, New York, where Sugar Ray Robinson, fought out of. And, Sandy Sattler was a great flyweight. I think he was a flyweight, a featherweight champion of the world. Now, that's my oldest brother's godfather. He was my, because they all fight the same gym.
Right.
Yeah, so, I mean, boxing was the main thing growing up in Brooklyn, New York. That was my thing. I loved it. I just loved it so much. So I used to keep up and try to learn all the fighters and what they did. And I read about them guys, the Jake LaMottas and the Joe Lou. I'd read up and I said, these guys were insane how they just fought. I mean, Ezra Charles, I read up on him and I said, this guy was a welterweight and he won the heavyweight championship of the world. And I said, well, he got all the way up to that weight. No, my dad said, no, he was like 170 pounds and he fought for the heavyweight championship and won. Those guys were just built differently, and it's just unbelievable,
Yeah, Ezra Charles was known as the Cincinnati Cobra.
Yeah. I mean, that's just...
Yeah, he was actually, to your point, he started as the middleweight, moved up to light heavyweight, then ended up a heavyweight, and he was 6 foot tall, and then he was 183 pounds, and he was born in Lawrenceville, Georgia. Then evidently he grew up in Cincinnati.
Isn't that funny and I read up on a lot of stuff, you go back, if you ever do a lot of fighters were from the South. And because of the turmoil, they all came and really did come to the Ohio and the New York area. That's where they moved to hone their skills, but they couldn't stay down south, so they came up.
No, we just brought up, the Ernie Shavers
and he's
father.
Even more, and he's not as way back as these guys.
No.
And you see what he had to do.
Right. And that wasn't, Ernie Shavers' father got into a dispute over a mule with the KKK and got out of Dodge.
Yeah.
Thank God. Had to. And he ended up here.
Yeah.
Warren, Ohio.
Right.
Working. I'm sure his father got a job at Lordstown or was working, and that's how they go, hey, we got to go get a job, make money, and live. Mm-hmm. So they moved out of there and came up to like Ohio.
Yep.
And then Shavers ultimately worked for GM in Lordstown and became a unbelievable, great heavyweight boxer.
Yep. Yep.
He's more of a heavyweight fighter, a boxer, but get into the semantics. But the point is, you bring up, and then you got a guy like you said, Ezra Charles was born in Lawrenceville, Georgia, but came to Cincinnati, went to Woodward High School in Cincinnati.
Yep.
And then he became a great fighter, a boxer, but he worked up. At one point, he was 42-0.
Yeah.
Until he had a 1939 loss to Daniel Eby. But this, you're going back. He was born. Ezra Charles was born 1921. Sadly, he passed at the age of 53 in 1975. But he was another guy that had many fights. I mean, and fought all the time. He fought Joe Louis. and lost in 1950. And he was really a middleweight, and then he would go light heavy, and he was in ring with Joe Louis, is a lot bigger and stronger, but he got in there.
Yeah, he'd fight all those guys.
He had Lou Gehrig's disease. In 1968, he was diagnosed with Lou Gehrig's disease, and then ultimately passed in 1975.
Wow.
Rocky Marciano called Charles the bravest man he ever fought. He fought all the great heavyweights, Ezra Charles.
That's unbelievable.
And that is, he was honored. They changed, Cincinnati honored Ezra Charles by renaming Lincoln Park Drive to Ezra Charles Drive.
Okay.
He was rated in Ring Magazine, 2002, they ranked him the 13th of the best fighters in the last 80 years. Ezra Charles. You can even get, there was a stamp, Ezra Charles.
Yeah, it
Cincinnati Cobra.
Wow.
Speed, agility, and fast hands, and excellent footwork. Muhammad Ali said this: Ezra Charles was truly a great fighter and a champion. He was the only heavyweight champion other than Sonny Liston who I think would have really troubled me at my best. So Ali even said that if he would have fought Ezra Charles, he would have had a problem.
Wow. Yeah.
Because he was fast, he was quick, and he was powerful.
Yeah.
And he moved up the weight. So Hagler was kind of that way. Hagler was a middleweight, but he was a great middleweight fighter, puncher. And then Ezra Charles moved up in the ranks.
Right.
And actually fought in the heavyweight ranks. And that's the part that always amazes me with some of these fighters when you look at their history and where they came from. And they weren't getting a lot of money. Like, this is what...
No, they had to do other jobs.
Right. They had other jobs. They fought because that's what they loved to do.
Mm-hmm.
But they weren't making a lot of money. And they were fighting a lot. Like I said, once a week, twice, 3 times a month.
Right. Yeah, actually, the $1 million purses didn't come in around until Muhammad Ali, really.
Really, it was Ali.
It was just like $1 million.
Right. Frazier and Ali started that more, and that was the early 70s, obviously. Right. Then the money started to come up, but like
back then, no, man.
Like, I'll give you
and stuff like that.
Here's Ezra Charles fighting. Let's just say 1956. Okay, he fought April 21st, beat Don Jasper in a knockout, ninth round. He lost to Wayne Bethea a month later, May 21st of 56. Then he fought June 19th, not even a month later. He beat Bob Albright. Then, this is the part that blows me away. Not even a month later, he lost another fight, July of 56, August 56, and then October 56. He fought. And he lost those fights in July, August, and October. Wow. He lost to Dick Richardson in October 56, Harry Matthews, August of 56, and Patrick McMurtry, July 13th of 56. But he fought he was fighting every month. All these guys fought.
Oh, yeah.
30 days. He was back in
back in it. Back in it. I mean, it's just, like I said, it was just a different time.
A different time. Like I said, and all the guys that fought him. And then we didn't even talk about Jersey Joe Walcott. He was another.
Oh, my goodness.
Unbelievable fighter. And these guys were like, they were in the ring, and that was it. They trained and got in the ring, and that was it.
Yeah. I mean, at Jersey Joe, you remember, he fought in the 30s and then fought Rocky Marciano.
Yeah, in the 50s.
In the 50s.
He was.
I'm talking about 25 years later. He's fighting this guy. And, and he lost on a knockout there. But, I mean, I forgot how old he was. He might have been like 46 years old. I don't know.
Well, when he he was born in 1914. So when he was fighting Marciano,
he probably was about 46.
He was probably, 40? He had to be in his 40s when he fought him.
Yep.
I mean, that's just amazing that these guys fought, and they were, and probably some of them had to do it for money.
Yeah, probably.
And they had to get out there, and so they could make not a lot of money, but make money to kind of survive on.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing with Jersey Joe, man. He was just he had 70 fights in his career, and he lost to Marciano a rematch 1953. I think that was his last fight, 1953.
Okay.
So he was basically 39 years old.
Oh.
Yeah. He was 39 when that was his last fight.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, he lost twice. He lost to Marciano September of 52 and then again in May of 53. He beat Ezra Charles, though I believe this is a classic fight. He and Ezra Charles had some unbelievable fights because I'm looking. They fought 3 times. March of 51, he lost to this is Marciano. Yeah, I'm looking at the wrong. Yeah. Like it's hard to. Yeah, this is I'm sorry, I'm going to get this right here. Jersey Joe lost to Ezra Charles. He fought him 3 times in a row. He lost to Ezra Charles in 51, March. Then he beat Ezra Charles July of 51 and beat him again in 52, June of 52. So he fought Ezra Charles 3 times in basically a year and change. And then he lost 2 to Rocky Marciano, and then he got out.
Okay. Wow. Wars.
Yeah. These guys were, then let me see how did he fought, he lost to Joe Louis in 47 and 48, and then he lost to Ezra Charles in 49. He fought in Comiskey Park in June of 49 to Ezra Charles and lost.
My goodness. That's something. I tell you. That's what it was.
One thing, you could take these fighters and break them down. Mm-hmm. And one thing you basically know is, for the record, Jersey Joe Walcott was also the former sheriff of Camden County, New Jersey. Nobody would screw with him, let me tell you.
Right. He was in a rough area, too.
And that's a rough area. I'm sure, like I said, when he showed up.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we have to abide by the law. Do what Jersey Joe tells us to do.
Right.
Anyway, I know we went off the boxing.
That was great.
But that was
nice.
Fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's nice memory lane.
Yeah, good memory lane. Go down, talk about and now I want to talk a little bit about the NIL because this is funny and it's hilarious. I was reading this morning a little bit about it, and you know how they kind of want to limit the NIL,
right?
And that ain't happening. I mean, this has got lawsuit written all over it. Because they're trying to say, they're going to tell these colleges, you get $20 million. And that's all you get. And then I guess they have to approve, like, this gets kind of convoluted, but they're going to try to limit what somebody can get on the $20 million they get. Like if Ohio State, example, gave $20 million, they have to spread the $20 million over all sports, just not football. So they have to make a decision who gets the lion's share of the $20 million. Is it going to be the football, basketball? You have girls basketball, girls sports, men's sports. So, and then they're going to tell the students, okay, you can get NIL. This is how much we're going to, and it's not going to be NIL anymore. It's just going to be what you can make from college, from what the college is going to tell you to make.
Right.
Do you think there's a problem with that?
Yeah.
You think there's like remotely a little bit of a problem here?
Yeah.
So you're going to tell somebody you're only going to make $1 million, even though you can make more money because maybe you're a great football player, or you can make more money out on your own. No, you can't, because we only have a $20 million budget. Mm-hmm. So they're going to try to limit what these guys. This is just not going to happen.
Yeah, this just needs to leave it alone.
I mean, I heard this the other day, listen, and then I looked it up this morning and I was looking at it, and I was just like thinking to myself, why? I know what they want to do, and I know what they think they're going to try to do, and they think they're going to tell these schools, and then you're going to tell players you can't get more money on your own because you're limited to how much. Like, you can't go outside that because that's only what our budget is $20 million. And so if you're going to limit you, because if you're only getting $20 million as a school, you have to pick and choose who's getting the money.
Yeah, you have to. And
but then if that person can get more than what you're limiting them to, they can't do that. Right. So like I'm thinking, like, just because you're going to tell the quarterback or whoever it is for the school, you can get a $3 million NIL deal because we can't give you any more because we're limited. But the guy goes, yeah, but I can get more money on my own. And they're going to say, no, you can't do it.
Yeah.
Do you see where this is another lawsuit they're going to lose.
And who came up with this idea?
Oh,
it's not the NAACP.
No. There's a great article in USA Today written by Matt Hayes. Mm-hmm. This is March 18th published. And the beginning is with NIL revenue sharing, NCAA mantra is double down on stupid when all else fails. That's the article. He does an unbelievable great job in breaking this down.
Yeah, I mean, it just doesn't make sense.
And you could see this, where it's headed. He goes, and in the article, his second paragraph, he goes, they have no idea what they're doing.
As a matter of fact, they're going to make them go really crazy in it faster than they want to. It's going to go there anyway, but you're going to really speed it up.
Here's his article. The first paragraph reads, the elite minds of academia have made a groundbreaking enforcement decision for the future college athletics, and it again underscores one undeniable reality. They have no idea what they're doing. And he goes, the NCAA is on the losing end of a $2.8 billion settlement of a lawsuit that accused the organization of restricting player earning that will redefine amateurism as we know it. And what does the NCAA do before the lawsuit is officially approved by the court? ? It doubles down on stupid.
Yeah. I like that.
Unbelievable. Great article. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he gets into it, and it just
stop. That's what they need.
Again.
Let's just stop.
They're pooling money because the House case settlement will pay billions in back payments to former college players who unfairly were prevented by the NCAA of earning off their name, image, and likeness. The settlement also provides the framework for a pool of $20 million to $23 million that will increase annually to pay players for the use of the NIL beginning July 1st. That's the bones of litigation. Here's the guts. The Power Four conferences, SEC, Big Ten, ACC, Big 12, have seized control of all things. NCAA have one goal and one goal only on the road to perdition: protect the money.
Leave that NIL alone.
What we will do is, I won't read the entire article. It's just a great article, though. What it basically here is going into is, you're not going to, you think you're going to tell players, we have a pool of money, we can't exceed this pool, therefore we can't pay you more on NIL because we're restricted.
Right.
So they want to try to do away with NIL and do it pay to play. It's what they want to do.
Yeah. And it's getting back down to whatever that school wants to give you.
Right. That's where we're at. We're right back to that.
Yeah.
But if you have a kicker or you've got a lady on the swim team who has a great workout video on YouTube, or you got this kicker that's got the workout video and he can make money or she can make money, you're going to say, well, no, you can't do that because you're limited on our budget of $20 million.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't make $3 million because that's not allowed because we can't afford to, but we don't have that in our budget. But they say, yeah, but I don't care about your budget. I can make that money on my own. So you're going to restrict these players from going out on their own accord and making money.
Yeah.
Because of your $20 million limit.
Yeah.
Because you're spreading the money around, but you're going to have to tell certain players in certain sports, you can't make that much money because we don't have that. I guess would come out of their budget.
Yeah. Yep.
But the player goes, "Why you can't restrict me? Why can't you tell me how much I can't make?"
Yeah.
So you could see where this is headed.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be litigations for years.
In the article, he said the lawyers are already lining this up. They're already ready.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so tired. Let's let it go as it's going. I mean, it's the cat is out the bag, as they say. You didn't try to get it back in the bag years ago of trying to get some control on it. You could have had a wage scale. You could have did all kinds of things. You probably could have back in the day
back then
if you stopped it early because it wasn't no big time money like that going. So if you could have got a wage scale, they probably would have accepted it back then because they would have looked, oh, we're getting paid.
Right, we're getting paid.
And then you know the scale goes up as the economy changes and things. You got to increase, but you didn't do that. You just no hardliner. You're not getting anything. You got an educational work, and now you got this, and now you want to try to put the cat back in the bag.
Yeah, you can't.
It's not going back in.
Hang on. The toothpaste can't get back in the tube, man.
It's done.
Can't do it.
Yep. So they just might as well give up on that. And let's just go ahead and
just let it go.
We continue to see college football as we see it now. Watch them go to the NFL draft, make more millions. It's the way it is now. You know, what can you do?
The Boston Celtics sold a couple days ago $6.1 billion for the Celtics for sold. That's $500 million more. I guess not $500 million. The Washington Commanders sold for $6.05 billion.
Mm-hmm.
The Celtics just sold for $6.1 billion. It's like half a
billion, I guess.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, the whole point of it is
500 million?
Yeah, 500 million. Thank you. Yeah, that's it. Here's the point: is these franchises are worth what people will pay. You take whatever Forbes says they're worth, throw it away. They're worth what they can get for them.
Yeah.
I remember they were telling that the Dallas Cowboys, it wasn't long ago, they were worth like $5 billion or $6 billion. No. I bet you Dallas, if Jerry wanted to sell them tomorrow, I bet he could get easy $10 billion.
Yep.
Easy. That made more. The Giants, if Mara sold that team, I bet he could get $10 billion for the Giants.
Yep.
I don't think there's any doubt.
Yeah. I mean, it's a storied franchise. The money today that's thrown around, I'm sure they can get a lot more than what. That's just like a nice reference number.
Yeah.
You know, hey,
that's a guess.
That. And then that gives you a starting point. Just because you say I'm worth $6 billion, I'm going to see if I get $7 billion. And that's how it works. And somebody out there who has that, or not, it might not be just one person. It might be a collaboration of a few people together, will pay that money to just have that part ownership of that franchise. So, speaking of the Giants, I just seen there they just signed a quarterback,
Jameis Winston.
Yes, they need to put. I mean, they only had Tommy DeVito and nobody else on the roster. So I think that's a good sign to have as a veteran there. But now you got to still get your quarterback.
We're going to come back to that and talk football on the fourth quarter of the show. Saturday Morning Sports Page, Pat Lucia, Dave Clark. Quick timeout. We'll be back.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
During the fall and winter, grilling season never ends, and Gessler Propane is your local supplier that makes sure you get your hard-earned money's worth. Why go to gas exchanges to pay higher prices for tanks not filled to capacity? Gessler Propane makes sure you're prepared for year-round grilling with 100% filled tanks at a reasonable cost. See Bob Monday through Friday, 10 to 4, and Saturday, 9 to 3 at Gessler Propane, 702 Youngstown Poland Road, Struthers, or call 330-755-9119. Gessler Propane. They got gas.
Welcome to Calvin's Barbershop.
You all got to see this.
I don't even want to know what you're looking at on that phone.
Well, you should. I was learning about the dangers of high blood pressure and that we need to get ours checked regularly. High blood pressure can increase the risk of heart attack or stroke, but this text program can help keep it at a healthy range. Just text Barbershop to 97779 to sign up.
I'll get right on it as soon as I'm done with this baby panda video.
Text Barbershop to 97779. A message from the American Heart Association and the Ad Council.
Looking for future leaders we can believe in? Look no further than the high school student athletes right here in Ohio. High school sports teach young people how to be effective leaders. It includes learning to listen, accepting responsibility, being a good role model, and it's about respect. The result, it transcends sports. It gives us hope for the future. This message presented by the Ohio High School Athletic Association and the Ohio Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Saturday Morning Sports Page, back at you. Pat Lucia, Dave Clark. With the NFL quarterback situation real quick, then we'll get Irish Mike here too. Quarterbacks, I think Rodgers is going to wait to see what Minnesota does, which means the Giants and the Steelers are going to have to make a call.
Yeah, they're going to have to.
Do the Giants draft a quarterback out of this draft? I think they will.
Me too.
They got Jameis Winston. I think
that's what they did it for. I think they are thinking they're going to do that.
I think they're thinking Rodgers isn't going to come here. We're going to go after either Shador, Cam Ward, or maybe Dart. If they don't get Cam Ward, I think they have to look at it as Cam Ward is going to Tennessee. Maybe the Browns don't take Shador Sanders. We will. Mm-hmm. But if those two guys go, they could trade back, maybe get Jackson Dart and pick up a little draft capital. Or worst case scenario, if they can't make the trade, take them. Mm-hmm. Take them third overall. And then there's your quarterback. That's who we're going to roll with. We got Jameis Winston. We got DeVito. And we're going to go with Jackson Dart or Shador Sanders, whoever we get off that draft, plus Jameis Winston. And DeVito's the backup. That's what I think the Giants do. I think Pittsburgh, either they don't get Rodgers and they roll with Rudolph, or they go back with Russell Wilson and say.
I would go back to Wilson for the simple fact that him and Pickens did seem to get something. He already has a relationship with Metcalf.
Right. Yeah.
But I also think something's in the making, though. I actually think Pickens could be traded.
Yeah, I do too.
I really do because I don't know. Pickens and Metcalf, I don't know.
Let's get Irish Mike. Irish Mike.
Good morning, gentlemen. How you guys doing?
Good. Talking quarterbacks and football, and Russell Wilson did meet with the Browns. Browns have the 2nd overall pick. You think they take the quarterback, or do they go a different direction?
Well, I think that if you don't want to go, I think the Browns should take the best player. I don't think they're contenders for the playoffs in 2025. Now, the front office and Kevin Stefanski have to think that way because they could all be out at the end of next year. So they're going to try to sell you on that context. But that roster looks like a big piece of Swiss cheese right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You need a left tackle. You need some linebacker. We don't know JOK's status physically. Obviously when you suffer a neck injury like he did, it's going to take months and months to recover, if you ever recover, from an injury like that. So there's just so many question marks and so many problems on the team that, think about the Steelers and Browns situation right now. The Browns have Kenny Pickett as starting quarterback, and the Steelers have Mason Rudolph. Think about that for a second.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't see that staying like that for September.
No, I just can't see.
Yeah,
and I can't see the Giants going in with Jameis Winston as their starter either.
No.
And I think, guys, when you read the same stories I read, that, it sounds like Aaron Rodgers wants to, go to Minnesota, but they announced earlier this week they're going with McCarthy. So unless they were bluffing Aaron Rodgers, basically it was a polite way saying we don't want you. And if he retires, I think he wants a TV gig, but I'm not sure the TV networks want to hire him. That's the issue with him.
Well,
yeah,
he's waiting for Minnesota. I would think what he will do. I don't think he really wants to go to the Giants because they're really a bad team.
But didn't Minnesota announce earlier this week, Pat? They're going with McCarthy.
Yeah.
Didn't they announce it like Tuesday or Wednesday?
They just said the door was
They
left
left the door ajar because they said if McCarthy comes into camp and he's not 100% and that knee's still an issue, they'll revisit Aaron Rodgers.
Okay.
So they said that. So they don't want to slam the door shut on Aaron Rodgers totally. They want to leave it ajar just in case, because they know.
If I remember correctly, guys, back in 2009, didn't Brett Favre report to training camp like 2 weeks into training camp for the Minnesota Vikings back in the 2009 season for Kevin, what was his name? Childers. They all called him Chili.
Yeah, I believe you're right. I think you're right.
Yeah, it was real late.
Because they had a plane following him from Louisiana or Mississippi and him landing on the airport and him going into the training camp facility, and a helicopter was following him. It was probably August of 2009, first week of August of 2009.
Yeah.
When he said he was retired, he wasn't going to play anymore. And then, all of a sudden Minnesota comes in. Brad Childers was the name, the head coach. Brad Childers.
Yep.
And so, that could be a situation again. But, I think Cam Hayward said earlier this week, if you want to come to Pittsburgh, you either want to come in or you don't.
Cam Hayward said you want to be a Steeler. That's it.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah. He's not wrong.
And, I agree with him.
It's not wrong at all. No. But then, I can't say anything about would Rodgers want to wait. It's definitely in his liking to how he might want it. If he wants to wait and see how things work, ball is in his court, really.
Mike Tomlin have the greatest quote of any coach in professional sports or sports in general? Says we prefer volunteers, not hostages, right?
Yeah.
It's a great quote.
Oh, it's a great quote. Well, you heard what
absolutely is.
Najee Harris said that, he went to Pittsburgh because they didn't really have a lot of leadership on the offensive side of the ball.
Right.
He said that. He said that, the offensive line was not that good and they had problems. And they were young.
That's what he said.
Young, was in the third year. Talented, but immature, right? We all agree.
Right.
Talented, but very immature.
Right.
Yep.
Right. And that's what Najee said. They just didn't have the leadership and experience on the offensive side of the ball. And I think he was just stating a fact, and I don't think there's a lot of people would disagree with him.
Yep.
And the offensive line in Pittsburgh hasn't been that good. I think that Rodgers is looking at the Giants and the Pittsburgh Steelers as offensive line. How good are their offensive lines? And he knows they're not. And especially the Giants, but he thinks the Steeler offensive line isn't that great. Now, Steelers might have better wide receivers in Metcalf and Pickens, then the Giants only have
Just neighbors.
Neighbors.
And they brung Slayton back. But they don't. That don't compare to Minnesota or Pittsburgh.
No. So he sees that. He sees the Giants, to me, as the worst team of the lot. But I don't think he puts Pittsburgh that much farther ahead of the Giants. I don't think he really wants to go there. He really wants to go to Minnesota. I think the question is, does he want to sit and wait?
Yeah.
Well,
that's really the $100 million question. Is Aaron Rodgers want to sit around and wait on the Vikings, take his chances? He doesn't have to play. He doesn't need the money, but he has to decide. And you said he's might looking at TV gigs, and you know what? I don't care if somebody would take him in a New York Minute and put him on TV.
Yeah.
They would love to have Aaron Rodgers, believe me. They would love Aaron Rodgers on TV because he's
couldn't be any worse than Tom Brady.
I know. Tom Brady, and look, that voice is just, it's not good. It just does not have, that voice is kind of annoying, and I'll be nice about it.
And I've argued, I think Tony Romo's pretty good. He's got more personality.
Yeah.
I mean, I know he's been doing it longer, but I think Romo's pretty good. I have friends that don't like him. I think he's pretty good.
No, Romo's a natural. He just has a tendency to say a lot of stuff that
he gets.
Sometimes he doesn't make any sense. Yeah. Some of the stuff he says is off the wall. But no, Romo's got a natural ability to be, Brady does not have that.
No.
At all. Now, Rodgers would. Aaron Rodgers Aaron Rodgers, to me, if I was NBC, if I was a station and Aaron Rodgers wanted you, I would put him on TV now because he's got that personality and he's going to say stuff that's going to rattle people. And that's what he's going to say stuff and people and that's what they want. They want somebody that's going to stir, but get the viewers to watch. Yeah. That's what this is all about. But Rodgers would have no problem on TV. He's got the presence, if that's what if I'm going to phrase it. But that's what I think. You're right, so, Brady, not so much.
I have a question for you guys about the NBA. I think about this, and before you answer, is there anybody in the NBA that has more pressure going into the playoffs in the next month than Donovan Mitchell, the Cleveland Cavs? Why I say that, I mean, he's in his 8th year in the NBA, and he's put up a lot of big numbers in the regular season. But I think after 5 years in Utah, one of the reasons why Danny Ainge and the Jazz got rid of him, they didn't feel like they were progressing very far in the playoffs.
Right.
I mean, you guys have watched a lot of basketball over the last 40, 50 years. There's a lot of guys who are really good regular season players that don't really translate to – people don't understand. When you get a series, Dave, right, you play 2 weeks. You have a 7-game series. There's scouting reports. They're going to play harder. They're going to play better defense. They're going to be in all your sets. It becomes a different game than the regular season, correct?
Yeah, and that's what I'm concerned with Cleveland. I love everything they're doing, but I'm concerned with them once the playoffs start.
And that's the same thing with Oklahoma City.
Because you got to match up.
Yeah. Those two teams, Oklahoma City and Cleveland, great regular seasons, great, but everybody's still waiting for the playoffs. And what are those two teams going to do in the playoffs? They have the best record in the regular season. We all been down this road before.
Yeah.
Regular season is great. I like it. Everybody gets carried away with it. But when the playoffs starts, everybody
good and bad, they get carried away with it. Bad, good and bad.
And
fans are freaking out now on a 4-game losing streak. They're freaking out.
Yeah, well, just remember when the playoffs start, what are the records of the teams before the night before the playoffs tip off? What are the records of the teams going into the playoffs?
0-0.
Bingo, and that's all that counts.
Yeah. I mean, we could have had this conversation on Halloween and said we're going to evaluate the 2024-2025 Cavaliers based upon what they do in late April and May. That's how we're going to evaluate them, rightly or wrongly, fairly or unfairly. I mean, they could have gone 78-4.
It doesn't right.
Well, that's great, but let's see what the playoffs go, right? I mean,
look at the years 2016. Golden State had the best record ever in the NBA.
Yeah,
you don't remember that? I just remember them losing the playoffs to LeBron and Cleveland in 7 games. And that's all they remember, too. Yep. Nobody goes back to think, they had the best record, and they set a record. They had the best record in the NBA regular season. That means absolutely nothing.
Well, it was big when you get an off season, you go get Kevin Durant.
Right.
You had to now remember that record they had was without.
That's right. That was without Kevin Durant.
You go and get him because we got to beat this team.
Right.
because they're going to come back again, and they were
And
right.
they did
come
right.
back
They
again.
came back, and Golden State beat them.
You bring that up, Dave Clark. That's funny because the Cavs won. It was Father's Day night, June 19th, when the Cavs won Game 7 out in Oakland to win the NBA title, and then they had the big parade on the 23rd, Thursday the 23rd, where a million people attended. Okay,
right.
I remember being at a 4th of July parade in Howland. 2 weeks later, less than 2 weeks later, and it was all over. My buddies were texting me. We're eating Guy's barbecue rib sandwich. It was awesome. And my buddies texted me, "Oh, Kevin Durant to the Golden State Warriors. Kevin Durant to Golden State Warriors." And I looked at my wife and I said, "Golden State Warriors, 2017 NBA champions."
Oh yeah,
yeah,
right.
Yeah.
I mean,
that was what they wanted to do.
11 months ahead of time.
Yeah. That was right.
That was strictly for that. They knew,
and he knew.
Yep.
That's why Durant knew, because he knew if I go to Golden State, I'm going to win. I'm going to win a title. They won a couple, but the point is, he knew that if he went to Golden State, he would be the difference maker and get him. And he was right.
Yep.
And he actually got him 2 titles.
Mm-hmm.
Right, 2 titles. Yeah.
But that's
and then, he obviously made the cure. Obviously, him and Draymond Green did not get along, and he decided to go to the Brooklyn Nets. And, and that didn't work out for him. And he's bounced around a little bit. But it's just a situation. We go back to LeBron's first go around Cleveland before he left for the Miami Heat. If you go back to his last 2 years in Cleveland, they brought Shaq in and a bunch of veterans to try to surround him. Sean Marion. 08-09 and 09-010, the last 2 regular seasons for LeBron before he left for Miami Heat, the Cavs had the best record in the NBA, and they had home court advantage throughout the playoffs. Unfortunately, we lost to Orlando in 09 in the Eastern Conference Final, and then we lost to the Boston Celtics in the second round in 010, and then LeBron left to go to the Miami Heat.
Yeah. And he got,
those regular seasons don't matter to people. You know what I mean? It's just that, the NBA is different. I think the NHL is a little bit like this too. I think in football and baseball, you can make the playoffs and point to say we had a really good year. I'm not sure you can do that in basketball or hockey, to be honest with you, because their seasons are a lot longer, and they play. They play 3 or 4 games a week, and it's just different. It's different. And less teams, and you hit that now and had last week, Pat. More teams make the playoffs in the NHL and NBA than Major League Baseball or pro football.
Oh, by far, the NBA is the worst, I believe. No, hockey. It's 20. They have 30 teams in the NBA, and 20 make the playoffs. So you're playing 82 games to eliminate 10 teams. And then you make the argument there's certain teams like Utah Jazz, New Orleans Pelicans, Wizards, and the Charlotte Hornets aren't even going to compete anyway. They're not any good. Like I always say, there's 10 teams, but there's really 6 teams because there's usually 4 teams that are just dog awful, terrible, and they're not going to be able to compete. They're out. They're out before the season starts. Then you're really looking at 6 teams competing for one of those 20 spots. So you're only really, because 4 are already eliminated, you're going to eliminate, you're really playing 82 games to eliminate 6 teams. Because 4 are already eliminated anyway.
Sometimes more than that.
And sometimes more than that, depending on your year.
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad.
But when you look at the breakdown now, you look at the teams that there's only 6 teams that still have a remote shot at getting into the playoffs. Raptors, Nets, and 76ers are still not, and the Hornets are in there. They're not in it. But those 3 teams have a remote shot in the East. And and then out West, Dallas is still in the mix because and Phoenix are almost tied for that 10th spot.
Right.
The Trailblazers are 2 games behind. So the Spurs are 3 games behind.
And I think Durant will not be in Phoenix next year.
I agree with that.
I don't.
And the question, that $100 million question is.
And I know people have been talking about Lakers and stuff.
The Knicks, but
in the Knicks too. And the thing about it, the Lakers would have to give up. They know they would have to give up Austin Reeves if that happened. And I don't know if you really want to do that right now, even though Durant that's a difference maker. But Reeves is really improved. Oh my goodness!
Yeah, Reeves has really developed into a really good player. The only problem is there with Phoenix. Durant has 1 year left on his deal, $54 million.
He might come to New York.
So then the question's going to be: has 1 year left, and then after he's a free agent after next year, will Phoenix try to trade him before next year because the contract is obviously expiring.
Yeah, you
only got the 1 year, and then you could see what you want to do with him. So that's going to be the question is, and how old is Durant now, though? Durant is what?
About 36, 37, somewhere in there.
Yeah, I'm going to say about 36.
Yep, that's what I think.
Yeah, he was, all right, 9/20. Yeah, he was born in 1988. That makes him, he'll be 37 in September of this year. So he'll be 37 years old. He's 36 right now. He'll be 37 in September, right before the start of next season.
Yeah.
He turns
I still
37.
think he got a couple seasons in him. These
I
guys.
agree with that.
Yeah, because these guys
because he's a shooter and it's 3-point.
Yeah,
and
they just take care of their body differently than guys back in the day. They play so much longer.
They do.
I forget that, even Curry is that age, 36, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just...
And he's out because he had a pelvic contusion. His pelvis. He had a fall. It was a contusion. It sounded really bad, but he's going to be out for the road trip, I guess.
Yeah.
But I heard guys the other day on the radio, who the heck was an NBA analyst? Maybe it was Stephen A. Smith, but it was somebody else who's very, very, very on top of their NBA. And he does not see the Milwaukee Bucks being a threat at all in the East. Thinks that that the Greek, I think
he might be gone too.
Ask for a trade this summer. I mean, I just think that's going to happen.
He's got to get out of
it. Probably, guys, the most underrated player in the NBA, if you follow the NBA, is Drew Holiday, who was the Celtics.
Yep.
When they traded him to Portland for Damian Lillard, that wasn't a good trade for what Milwaukee had and what they needed. What he brought to the floor compared. Damian Lillard can still score, but he couldn't guard anyone of us three, right?
No, he's old too. Yeah. Yes, Stephon Curry is basically 37 years old. He just turned 37 March 14th. So he's
some guys up there. I don't know what Damian Lillard is. He might be like 33. But I mean, he could play. He could still play. He could score. He could do whatever he want on that end. He just doesn't he's not going to do what Holiday do. See, this is the thing. Holiday is a guard, but he can guard forwards. He's so good on the defense end. Yeah. He could guard forward.
A good player.
He could 1 through 4. He could guard any of those guys, and he's a good rebounder. He's a floor general, so he's a lot of things. And they lost a lot when they got rid of him.
He is very to me, Holiday is very underrated.
Oh yeah, he's definitely underrated. Always have been.
Absolutely.
Always has been.
Lillard is 34 years old.
Okay. Because I remember when Holiday
he'll be 35 next year.
I said 76ers had him years ago. I said, don't get rid of that guy.
He turns, for the record, Lillard will be 35 this year, July. So he goes into next season 35 years old, still can shoot.
Oh, you can still
the defense, not so much.
Right.
Then you got to decide team, but a lot of these guys don't play defense anyway till the playoffs. That's the rule anyway.
And defense is a mindset. When they say a guy can't play, you might have guys that can't move their feet or whatever. But a lot of times it's effort. It's effort and mindset.
And you ever notice that when they watch the playoffs, defense is they always play better. Like Carmelo Anthony never played defense, but in the playoffs, he seemed to play good defense.
Yeah, he played a lot better.
Right. He played a lot better.
Yeah, because he can play.
He can play it. It was a regular season. He really didn't play it much. But but when it was the playoffs, Carmelo played defense. And he's good.
Everybody doesn't have a Russell Westbrook mentality because he don't know.
No, Russell Westbrook is 120 miles an hour
all the time.
All the time.
Defense,
he's
offense,
old school.
Whatever. He don't care what it is. He's doing it at full speed.
Well,
and to still see him going like he's going is kind of crazy too.
Well, they were talking. Mike Jaminski was on Mad Dog Russo yesterday. He was really good. Mike Jaminski was just great to listen to. And he still has really close relationships with his players on the NBA, like Buck Williams. He played with Buck Williams and Charles Barkley.
Right.
And Rick Mahorn. He was rattling off all the players he's really still tight with.
Yeah.
And he basically said he laughed about, like, he was the load management thing. He goes, could you see Michael Jordan, the coach, telling Michael Jordan or Larry Bird or Irvin Johnson, or he rattled off the names, Charles Barkley, you're not going to play tonight. We're going to rest you. And that wasn't no, they didn't do that.
No, because they'd be insulted.
That's it. That's exactly what he said.
Yeah, that's an insult.
He said,
them back then.
Michael, they would look at that as an insult. You did not tell those players back then you were sitting out because they were resting you. He says Michael Jordan never.
See, everything is an investment now.
Right.
It's a different mentality now. We got to save my investment because this is the guy to bring the tickets into here. We need him healthy.
We need him.
Yeah. But they didn't think like that back then.
No.
And they didn't want to hear it. The players didn't want to hear that.
No, they did not.
Yeah.
You did not tell any of those players, Jordan, any of them, Bird, Magic, Jordan, Scott, Mahorn, Lampier, Rattle, Isaiah, nobody.
You ain't telling them you ain't playing.
Those guys.
It might be a fight. It might be an all-out
It would be a fight.
They'd be fighting.
If you told, he said, if you told Michael Jordan you're not playing because we're arresting you, you better run.
Yeah.
Because Michael Jordan, no way.
No, that's not going to happen.
Those guys did not take any. Yeah. Then he also, Jerminski was talking about, I think what was he talking about? He was trying to set a pick around with like Wes Unseld. He said, the coach yelled at him. I think it was Lockery yelled at him. And then something about, Jerminski says something to Lockery, but you couldn't pick him when you played. you set a pick.
Yeah.
Red Unseld's just a brute.
No, he would have ran straight.
He ran right through people. He was just like
I have a question for you guys. Obviously, there's a month left going regular season. I think it's about 14, 15 games left or a dozen, whatever it is. But, anybody could have injuries on any team. But I guess my question for you gentlemen is how far do the Cavs have to get for people around the NBA and Cavs fans in general to consider it a successful season?
Lose to the Boston Celtics in 7 games in the conference final, and that'll be a success.
Okay.
I think that would be...
That was anything, if they get knocked out in the second round, you'll look back at this and say the season was not successful?
No, they can't lose.
To other seasons.
They can't lose to the Knicks. No, they can't lose to the Knicks in the second round or somebody like that. No, they got to... If they get...
They got to get to the final.
They really have to get to the finals
or the conference,
or at least get to the conference final and lose a grueling 7-game series to Celtics, and I think they get okay.
Yeah,
but a lot of people want them in the finals. Now, obviously, I would love to see this. I love to see the Cavaliers win a title. I would just think that would be fantastic. I would like to see Oklahoma City and the Cavaliers in the final, 2 young great teams, and have at it. I don't know if it's going to happen, but. We'll see.
Yeah, you throw those things out there, Lucia, and we all, where this is heading when I'm heading with you. People say, the 2 best regular season teams this year have been Oklahoma City and Cleveland, but, wink, wink, we know the NBA wants the Lakers versus the Celtics.
Yeah, they do.
Well, they would love it.
They would love it. I don't know if the conspiracy theory people think that, but they probably do.
Yeah.
So they think the referees are going to, make sure that,
now they'll take a Golden State in there too.
Yeah,
but the one the Lakers and them would be just. I mean, you got 18 championships on one end, 17 on the other. I mean, what drama it would be to have those two in it, and iconic players. So that would be something.
As of right now, Golden State is 1 game. They're 1 game out. They're not in the play-in. The Clippers are the 7th game. They're in the play-in series as of today. They're 1 game behind Golden State, who sits at 6. Golden State won't have Stephen Curry, though, because of his injury.
Yeah.
So they're on a road trip. I don't know if Stephen Curry's coming back from that injury. And I don't know how long that's going to take him. But Golden State's kind of holding on. They don't want to get into the play-in tournament either. Right. And right now they're a game better than LA. So the question obviously is, can the Golden State win without Curry, and can they maintain they're only a game and a half behind Memphis Grizzlies for the 5 spot. So can they continue to play? They're playing great. Can they continue that and stay out of the play-in for the West? And that's where they're going to go. Right now, Clippers, Wolves, Timberwolves, Kings, and Phoenix Suns are the play-in teams. Mm-hmm. Dallas has fallen out of it. Can they get back in it? I don't know, but that's kind of where you're at now. But the team that would scare me, Phoenix, though, is kind of with Durant in the playoffs. You never know, though.
Yeah,
he does give you that.
Yeah, you never know.
42 last night against the Cavs.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's the thing with Phoenix. Now that they're 34, 37, they are the 10th team. As they improve and get better and move in that play-in.
Well, Pat, this goes back to your theory. It always comes back to the playoffs. Is what it does in the NBA, right? It always comes back to the playoffs.
Yep.
It always does. No matter what. 82 games, it's great, but it really, in a way, doesn't matter until you get to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Hey, Pat, Dave, thanks for taking the call. Have a great weekend, gentlemen.
All right. Thanks, Irish Mike.
Dave Clark.
Yep. Another week.
Thanks for doing the show, as always.
Yep.
We had a
All right.
blast.
Yep.
Be safe. Do not drink and do not drive. Saturday morning sports page. Stay sober and buckle up.
Someone's got to set the tone out there, boys. Someone's got to set it.
The station that sets the tone for Youngstown Phantoms hockey is Western Reserve Radio. WRDV, The Scourge.
Coming up on the next edition of Follow the Money, we'll recap the first two rounds, and now we have the Sweet 16 matchups. Who's going to win the tournament now? And Hall of Famer Nick Bogdanovich will join the show to discuss the lines of the upcoming games. We'll break down the card in the NBA with 8 games on the board. Celtics and Lakers is in action as well. Follow the Money, 4 to 7 Eastern on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, and now Sirius XM Channel 158.
This is Sharp Week on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Welcome to the VSiN Weekend Morning Line on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
We keep it rolling. Hour number 2 of the VSiN Weekend Morning Line. We've already heard from Paul Stone and Wes Reynolds on their plays in the Circa College Hoops Challenge. Paul Stone currently in first place, a 20-12 record, 22.5 points as you get an extra half point if you hit your best bet. And he is 5-0 on his best bets. What does he have for his best bet today? That would be Arkansas plus the 7 against St. John's. We'll hear a little bit more from Rick Pitino here in just a matter of moments. Former Purdue Boilermaker Raphael Davis is going to jump on the program here coming up in less than 15 minutes. He's been doing work with the Big Ten Network. Curious to get his thoughts on the first game of the day, which is McNeese State versus Purdue. And McNeese certainly a polarizing team. And Wes hit it a little bit. I don't want to dive too deep into this topic, but I've kind of enjoyed the fact that Will Wade has been so transparent about his situation. He's going to NC State. He will be their head coach unless someone else comes in, because from my understanding, the ink has not been dried on any contracts there. But the fact that Will Wade has been so open and transparent about it, I don't know. It is a bit refreshing because that's just where we are. And he is at a mid-major program. He has taken them to heights they've never been before, and they've never won an NCAA tournament game before. It's not like he's going to not want to win today because he wants to start his job at NC State on Monday. So I think you're going to get a great effort from McNeese, and we'll hear from them here in just a minute. But 8 games on the docket today. By the way, shouts to my guy, Patrick Everson, who's doing his tweet storms right now. Patrick going to stop by the studio tomorrow and give us some insight on the Sunday games. But as he's pointed out there on social media, I'll give you a couple of the dogs that are getting some love. This from Patrick Everson over on Twitter. He got this from BetMGM's Seamus McGee. The best result for the house is a Purdue win and McNeese covering the 5.5. That from earlier today, the number out to 6.5. So that old trying to get in the middle there. We'll talk to Chuck Esposito. He'll give us his thoughts and the latest from behind the counter. But that is the mindset of that game. We have 8 games today and all our selections up over at vsin.com. But let's start with McNeese and Purdue. This game starting at 12:10 Eastern time. This one will tip in Providence, Rhode Island. Total has come down a little bit to 142.5, and the point spread has bounced around a little bit. Went down to 5.5. Now it's back up at 6.5 here for our contest purposes. The number was 6. And McNeese State, once again, coming off of their win over Clemson. I don't really want to talk about how that game unfolded at the end, as one of my bets for the contest was the under, and a late layup was unfortunate there. But regardless, we press on. McNeese State catches 6.5. Here's the head coach of the Cowboys for now, Will Wade.
I feel like the preparation is amazing because we didn't just start preparing after we went on a winning streak. We were preparing for this moment all summer. Like, I think that's what people don't realize, that this has been a moment that we've been preparing for when we all stepped on campus on June it was, or July, whatever. Whenever we stepped on that campus, we were preparing for this moment. So, it's normal to us. Of course we enjoy the moment, but this is something that we already plan to do. So it's a goal that we plan to achieve. So when that's the case, you're just locked in on it.
That is not Will Wade. My bad. That was Kadir Copeland, who probably will be with Will Wade next year at NC State, if I had to guess. Started his career at Syracuse and this year at McNeese. And, that's the fascinating thing about this McNeese squad is that there are Power 5 level players on this roster. And this is a team that enters today's game on a 12-game winning streak. Second longest active winning streak in the country. And look, the Southland Conference, a conference that is not very strong. When you look at some of their metrics this year, the Southland Conference was 21st in the country, according to KenPom, and Wes Reynolds hit on it. Look, this Big Ten performance in the first round was tremendous. Not only 8-0, but 8-0 against the spread. So the Big Ten not only exceeded expectations just from a win-loss standpoint, but they beat the spread in every single game. Purdue was a bit of a popular upset spot, looking at a high point team that, went up and down the floor. And what did Purdue ultimately do? They stymied them. They held them to just 63 points. But what I look forward to today is a McNeese squad that isn't complete snail's pace like a Drake, who is dead last in adjusted tempo, but a slower tempo team, and one that also makes you work on the offensive side as well. So I think McNeese is going to kind of ugly this thing up. Were they a bit fortunate with some poor shooting out of the gates there from Clemson? I think you can make that point or make that case, certainly. And look, if you're McNeese, you've got to figure out ways to slow down two All-American players, Trey Kaufman-Renn and Braden Smith. Fletcher Lawyer, an elite shooter as well, shoots it from long range at a 46% clip. So this will be a challenge, no doubt. It's also the early game of the day. So as Matt Humans and I have discussed, this is usually a stay away, but for some other reason, here I am going against not only my vows from earlier in this season. Don't bet Honor against Arkansas. Don't bet the 9 a.m. Pacific games. Guess what I'm doing? I'm on the 9 a.m. game, and I'm also on Arkansas here later today. All right, let's get to another game, and I think this one's pretty intriguing. You've got Creighton and Auburn. Auburn losing 3 of 4. Heading into the NCAA tournament, still gets the number 1 overall seed, which I think is fair when you look at their body of work throughout the year, their amount of quad 1 wins and all that went into their season. So I didn't have an issue with Auburn getting the number 1 overall seed. I thought there was a chance that Duke might get it. They did not. It went to Auburn. Auburn goes out. Pretty sluggish performance against Alabama State. They win, don't cover, 83-63. And then on the flip side, I got to give Creighton a lot of credit for the way they played in the opening round there against Louisville. They came out and they smoked them, man. This was a really impressive performance from a Creighton team that, I was sitting here in studio with Matt Humans on a Thursday night, and the Blue Jays were struggling against